Hello, thanks for joining me. This is Chad Wakefield. I wanted to ask you today a couple questions that will help you determine when you may need some relocation help. Relocation meaning you're doing a rehab or you're doing a redevelopment of a project and you have tenants in place that will have to move, either temporarily or permanently. And as I like to tell people, it is a project in itself and needs the time and expertise that you would devote to other parts of your project. So, first question is, have you ever done this before? If you answer no, get some help. Even if you answer yes, you still may want to consult with somebody and get some best practices, make sure that you can meet the requirements and the demands for what you're going to do. Do you have the staff to devote to treating relocation like it's a project? Or is this just going to be part of their day to day? If the answer is no, get some help. A lot of time, what happens is the relocation process is assigned to somebody in property management or asset management, and it becomes a second job or even a third job for them. And they don't have the time to devote to the noticing, to keeping the residents informed, to doing all the planning and organization and then implementing that's required. Do you know how to evaluate all the issues, including contingencies and unintended consequences? The answer is no, get some help. We've learned a lot with COVID 19 that there's a lot of things that we had planned to do that now have to be done differently. And we had not considered that because COVID's a sort of a black swan event. Nobody could foresee it coming. Yet, without COVID, there's always things that come up with projects. A couple classic examples are once a rehab is underway and we get into walls, then we start to notice things like mold, hazardous materials that didn't show up on initial inspections. And there's nothing in place to address those contingencies. It may be as simple as we've under budgeted temporary housing, we've overestimated how quickly things can be done, and so we should have had a few weeks, and maybe there was only a few days. Things like that, just experience tell you with certain projects that you may or may not have enough baked into the pie to do this well. So if you don't really have the experience to evaluate some of those issues, then get some help. Have we done this before and gotten our hands slapped? So have you had a federal audit done and HUD came back with findings and said you just didn't do things right or you didn't do things at all? If that's the case, you certainly want to get some help, get some guidance, get some training at least, get some education on how to do things well and not have that happen to you again. Are there certain things we know we can do, but we haven't done in a while? If you answer yes, get some help. And then obviously, uh, if you've never done it, also get some help. I think one thing that happens with organization is they do a renovation, a couple of years go by, they do another one, but in the course of that, regulations may have changed, attitudes may have changed on the side of HUD or their state housing finance agency, and what they were able to do on the previous project, now the requirements are just much more intense, and they don't know that because it's not part of their day to day. It's really not something they're doing on a routine basis. So if it's been a while, get some help. And of course, if you've never done it, get some help. Have we ever used the sources of funding that we're considering? Yes or no, I say get some help. The reason why I say that is, again, if you've not used a certain source for a while, then issues and processes, procedures may have changed, attitudes may have changed. Obviously, if you've never used a certain source, you probably need some consultation with somebody to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. There's some different playbooks out there for relocation depending on what funding you are using. That's probably the number one driver in what you're going to have to do. And then there's the practical things. What should you do? And that's not always spelled out. And that's the attitudinal process. And so if it's a funding source you're not used to using, consult, get some help. Now, when I say consult, get some help, it may just be spending a couple hours on the phone with somebody like me. You may have me or another professional write a plan and kind of put things in a box for you and your staff, or it's an all out, bring us in to be boots on the ground. There's different options or different ways to do this. Personally, if I can spend a couple minutes on the phone with you and answer a few questions and save you some grief, and you're more than capable of doing it on your own, I'm okay with that, because I'd rather see you be successful and have a successful project. We're all part of the same community, than to see you fail. My contact information is on the right hand side of this slide. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'd love to talk to you. Thanks for listening and watching.